Just happened might confirm that the paper Bitcoin attack is finally over. The entire space has been speculating for a long time that the Bitcoin ETFs were creating paper Bitcoin because they were settling transactions in cash. But what just happened literally hours ago changes everything. So what am I talking about? Actually, before I move on, of course, I'm here with the wonderful, the great speaking and beautiful Internet Sophie, aka Nico's wife. And so, what am I talking about? So, yesterday we got some huge news coming out of the SEC. I know everyone in the chat doesn't like the SEC, but hey, they do essentially write the rules of the road here. And for the audio listeners, this is a press release coming from the SEC.gov, and it is headline: SEC permits in-kind creations and redemptions for crypto ETPs. And so before I move on, for people that don't know what in-kind redemptions are, it basically means that this fund, like the iBit or the Fidelity one or the ARC shares, can redeem their shares and receive actual Bitcoin instead of cash. And of course, this differs from where it is right now, which are purely cash redemption, where the fund would essentially need to sell their Bitcoin on the open market to give the investor fiat. So TLDR here, the short of it is, it seems like they've fundamentally changed the rules of the ETF to be real Bitcoin going in, and then, of course, real Bitcoin being sold out. And we'll go into the implications and stuff afterwards. I want to read the press release. There is some interesting stuff in this press release. It is pretty, like corporate speak, a lot of it. So it will be a little boring. But anyways, the SEC today voted to approve orders to permit in-kind creations and redemptions by authorized participants for crypto asset exchange traded products, aka ETP shares, or as more commonly called, ETFs. And to be remembered or reminded here, one of the huge authorized participants of the BlackRock ETF is JP Morgan, and they have been making a lot of moves into Bitcoin. So this is very interesting stuff, even though this press release is pretty cold and boring. The orders approved today reflect a departure, like I said, from recently approved spot Bitcoin and shitcoin ETPs, which were limited to creations and redemptions on an in-cash basis. With today's approval orders, Bitcoin, consistent with other commodity-based ETPs approved by the commission, will be permitted to create and redeem shares on an in-kind basis. Again, real Bitcoin going in, real Bitcoin going out. Quote, "It's a new day at the SEC, and a key priority of my chairmanship is developing a fit-for-purpose regulatory framework for crypto asset markets," said SEC Chairman Paul S. Atkins. "I am pleased the commission approved these orders permitting in-kind creations and redemptions for a host of crypto asset ETPs. Investors will benefit from these approvals as they will make these products, quote, less costly and more efficient." Again, extra quote, "Today's approvals continue to build a rational regulatory framework for crypto, leading to a deeper, more dynamic market, which will benefit all American investors. This decision's aligned with the standard practices for similar ETPs." What they're referencing here is in Europe, they already basically have in-kind redemptions here. So it does seem like there's some standardization happening across all institutions globally. On the one hand, I think this is really good. Now, the paper Bitcoin, I guess I would say FUD of, are these ETFs actually buying Bitcoin if they're just settling in cash? I think now it's completely being cleared away. That FUD seems to be going away. Now, it's going to be interesting what's happened on the, I don't know if you guys looked at the price this morning, but it is reacting I would say a little unfavorably. I don't know if it's about this news or really there is some speculation of what's going to come out of the White House crypto report. I will kind of cover that later in the show. Again, nothing definitive there, but it seems like people are very bearish on what's coming out of the report. I think the HIVE, as I said yesterday, is a buy the rumors, sell the news type event yesterday. Anyways, Jamie Selway, director of the Division of Trading and Markets, said, and here, is this the one? No. Okay. Sorry. The next paragraph is where some interesting stuff comes out, which could kind of open up, I think, an even bigger paper attack. So let me hold off for a little bit. Quote, "The commission's decision today is an important development for the growing marketplace for crypto-based ETPs. In-kind creation and redemption provide flexibility and cost savings to ETP issuers, authorized participants, and investors, resulting in a, quote, more efficient market." And I'll break down kind of what they mean by this more efficient market. I don't think it's necessarily for the ETF issuers. I think it's really more for the Bitcoin market in general. But there is, I believe it's in this paragraph, that there is some, yes, it's this paragraph. There's some interesting stuff here. When we were going over this, on the one hand, it does seem like the quote paper Bitcoin attack from the ETFs is over. But from the other attack, here, let me just read this for you. So the commission also voted to approve other orders that advance a merit-neutral approach to crypto-based products, including exchange applications seeking to list and trade an ETP that would hold mixed spot Bitcoin, options on certain spot Bitcoin ETPs, flexible exchange options on shares of certain BTC-based ETPs, and an increase of position limits up to the generic limits for options, up to 250,000 contracts for listed options on certain BTC ETPs or ETFs. Additionally, the commission issued 2 scheduling orders, soliciting comments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Anyways, why it does this paragraph in particular make it seem like they might be expanding the quote paper Bitcoin attack is because this emphasis on options. Now, the kind of framework that most people have been using is this is very good for the market. Again, real Bitcoin going in, real Bitcoin going out. And let's just talk about how much Bitcoin the ETFs or ETPs actually have. Again, guys, they have 1.298 million 268 Bitcoin allegedly in these ETFs. So for a while it was cash redemptions. Now it seems like if they have to do any kind of financial maneuvering, engineering to get all of that Bitcoin, hey, maybe they're going to have to, buy this all on the spot market if they actually don't have all of that Bitcoin. So on the one hand, I would say it's definitely bullish. On the other, it's going to definitely show to us who is swimming naked, aka. Anyways, Eric Balkunis, of course, the senior ETF analyst. Wow, it's early. Analyst at Bloomberg says
Opti hasn't had enough coffee.
I
today.
literally have not had enough caffeine today. He tweets.
That's my fault.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm not gonna say. Eric Balkunis tweets: an issuer just wrote me, quote, "This is huge and will create explosion of option-based Bitcoin ETFs." Again, sounds like more paper Bitcoin. Again, the headline story is the paper Bitcoin attack is over because now they actually have to buy the Bitcoin. Again, real Bitcoin going in, real Bitcoin going out. It's basically how the gold ETFs have been handled historically. So on the one hand, it's super game changing for what's going on. This is one of the big caveats. Yeah, literally $1.50 says it. I'm pretty sure no one has any idea what's going to happen by the end of the year. So the main take from most Bitcoiners is this is good, more clarity. Now they're actually having to buy this Bitcoin. They don't have to do this financial engineering of cash redemptions. But let's kind of break this down. The more bullish take on in-kind redemptions is that they don't have to, or they're not required anymore to sell that Bitcoin on the market. And this is key. So before, they basically got to sell that Bitcoin and then they'd pay out their investors in cash. Now they basically just buy the Bitcoin. They don't have to actually have a sell transaction onto the market, which is super bullish, kind of minimizes the sell pressure here. And then further, if these ETFs still maintain the attention that they have currently, again, they scooped up 1.2, almost 1.3 million Bitcoin, then that just proves that the market has confidence in Bitcoin. That shows the demand for actual Bitcoin is strong, which is obviously a super bullish signal coming from TradFi here. Now, the more con view of this, again, you can kind of view this two sides of the same coin, is the cash redemptions. And if a fund has to sell this Bitcoin for fiat to refill their redemption, then of course that would increase the sell pressure. Now, we've seen this play out currently where I don't know if it would increase per se, but we've already kind of seen these mechanics play out. But if they did do large in-kind redemptions, then there would be immediate dumping, which is maybe what we're seeing on the market today. So that could maybe explain it.
No, but it would only be dumping on their own hedge fund. It wouldn't be dumping on the market. People would just take Bitcoin into self-custody.
Well,
right? Am I understanding that right?
Let's see.
If they're going to be paying in-kind redemption, right? Like, so if I buy an ETF on whatever fund, and then I want to cash that Bitcoin in, wouldn't they just have to like send it from their wallet to my wallet?
I don't think that's how they work. So
so then what is
it's
I don't understand anything we've been talking about.
It's the ETF issuers, the authorized participants actually hold that Bitcoin. I don't think there's any self-custody quote in these ETFs.
Damn, I was gonna say I would pay anything to watch these boomers figure out how to do self-custody. Like, could you imagine them with their cold card just like
no, this is why they put their exposure in the ETFs. Someone asked, when does the in-kind redemption start? It just got approved, so it seems like it's happening now, which could explain for the price kind of movement we saw here. So again, the in-kind redemptions do protect Bitcoin from sell pressure caused by the ETF outflows, and of course, they seemingly, at least this is the theory, keep the supply shock intact by avoiding liquidation, and actually, here it actually does say this, and empowers holders to take custody. So, from our perspective, a feature, not a bug. Decentralizes the supply and promotes sound money ownership. So I guess you're right. And of course, this is kind of their view. This is, of course, the main movement, or rather the main narrative we're hearing from the Trump administration, and also Gary Gensler from the SEC from the past. And of course, what we're seeing now, that this would protect investors more and create a more dynamic market. So
wouldn't this also just would this turn these hedge funds into kind of an exchange themselves? Would they essentially act kind of like, for example, Coinbase, where, they take custody of this Bitcoin and you say, okay, I want to cash it in. They send it to your account. And then could you take it into self-custody if you wanted to? I mean, I have a lot more questions about this as a Bitcoiner than I do as an investor. As an investor, I mean, really as a hedge fund manager, this is great because it legitimizes the hedge fund, and it's a win-win because, well, I mean, the ones who are lying, they're going to be exposed, and the ones who have been stacking Bitcoin are going to be rewarded for telling the truth. But I just have a lot more questions as a Bitcoiner because what does this mean for self-custody, which I think is essentially the most important part of all of this. What is gonna separate them aside from them holding Bitcoin and not being able to lie about their paper Bitcoin and number go up and everything that we love to talk about. What does that mean for self-custody, and what does that mean for people who are actually buying this?
Yeah, I think that would be the ideal case. And so we haven't really seen any of these ETF issuers, and I think that's where we will, or the authorized participants, kind of explain what their strategy would be here. But ideally, that would be the case where the ETF issuer can redeem that Bitcoin directly versus just settling in cash. So now we have the approval from the SEC, and then I'm pretty sure it's going to be upon every one of these ETF issuers to kind of pick and choose which product they want to do or how they want to handle their product. So I think this is from, if you are a boomer out there, and I'm only kind of trolling on the boomers. If you are
we love to rag on the boomers. They deserve to be ragged on just a little bit. I mean,
if you are an ETF buyer, then I would pressure whoever is the person or the company that is buying those ETFs for you, whichever product you're using. This is exactly what I would stress, that, hey, I want to actually receive this Bitcoin. I really don't think that these, brokerage houses have the infrastructure yet, probably, to actually give you or deliver that Bitcoin directly. But this is the ideal case, like you said, that people would actually take Bitcoin into custody. As of now, the law has been approved. The SEC has opened up the floodgates, and it would, on one hand, maybe explain why the price of Bitcoin is what it's doing today. Everyone in the chat's like, another day in Bitcoin, another dumping day of Bitcoin. I was promised 150K.
It's crazy because the people who are you'd expect the people who are dumping to be these day traders, but it be your own people, bro. It be these OG maxis who have been holding on to Bitcoin for forever. And hey, I don't blame them.
I can't blame them.
I can't blame them.
I do the same thing. Let's be honest here.
But
all right, there's actually some good questions in here. So 0 to 1 says, in-kind would trigger a taxable event. No, it kind of depends. From what I'm reading here on the SEC press release, they're not actually selling the Bitcoin. So I think that's kind of in a gray area, which does kind of lead us into what we're potentially going to hear coming out of the crypto report, which we'll talk about in about 20 minutes. And then we had another question in here. Let's see. Paper Bitcoin is an attack on Bitcoin. Yes, bro. That's duh. Thanks for pointing out the obvious. Someone said, I can't find. Is this only? David said, is this for only the UTF ETFs? Yes. This is from the U.S. government. This is from the U.S. SEC. But we have seen that in Europe, a lot of the ETF or ETP issuers are already kind of doing in-kind redemptions. And so, again, being that America is, well, you know, you guys could argue this or you can kind of, this is our take here, is like US is essentially the leader in finance and arguably in culture here. So what the US does, others will follow soon. And if the US does it, it's kind of like if you're offering a better product to the market, then everyone's going to follow soon. So ideally, we see more people, more countries, more companies follow this in-kind redemptions. There are already some in-kind redemptions in different parts of the world. But as of now, the U.S., I think they're the biggest market of this. So this is huge. I think everyone else will follow this. Of course, we are self-custody maxis, hence Sophie's questions of like, are they actually going to custody this Bitcoin? We want people to hold actual Bitcoin. But I think this is a good first step towards that. Now, we will see how this is kind of actualized, how they will actually do this in practice. But now we don't have the SEC fighting us. So there's a lot of things going on here. You know, the U.S. is on the basically within 24 hours going to announce what they're doing with either the strategic Bitcoin reserve, what they're doing with the regulatory framework in the US. Again, this was part of the executive order from Trump about America embracing Bitcoin, and they gave it a 180-day delay to do the report. They got it in, I believe it was last week, the 22nd, and they are going to talk about it later today at 2:30. So we don't have anything conclusive on what they're going to say. They were actually going to do a press conference about it. So I'll kind of give you in the news kind of the rumors, the speculations of what's going to go into it. And then tomorrow, I'm sure we'll probably break down exactly what came out of that. I'm sure we'll get some clips here. Let me see. There was one more comment in here. If I can't find it, we'll just keep it moving. But yeah, okay. I can't find it. I can't. Jonathan Dila. Okay. This is a new question. But why not just buy BTC directly then?
Well, yeah, we know.
That's the big question. And again, I keep saying this and I keep stressing this, but I guess I don't say it enough on the show. You got to remember, from an individual perspective, if you just have cash on the side, then of course, buy Bitcoin directly. That's like the easiest thing to be doing. But when you have a lot of capital that is locked up in traditional finance instruments, there is a lot of rules and red tape that you can't actually get your money into Bitcoin. Yes, maybe you could sell it and take a penalty on whatever your investment or portfolio holds, but a lot of people don't want to do that. And so a lot of these various different instruments, Bitcoin exposure products on TradFi are so people don't get, have to sell their products. They can kind of just roll it over into a Bitcoin ETF. Again, I think the metric is 97% of capital around the world is basically locked up in these different credit instruments, and they can't actually get it into Bitcoin. So there is a product market need here. But for us, it's like, bro, just buy Bitcoin. I'm sure none of us have a 401k anyways. If you did, you probably cashed it out because you're a true believer in Bitcoin. Like the rest of us.
Ate that penalty.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
I think, yeah, the more people are exposed to like at least feeling like they're buying Bitcoin, the closer they're going to be to even thinking about taking self-custody and buying actual Bitcoin. Because once they realize that they're completely cucked by these banks and the institutions and their retirement funds, they're going to say, hey, wait a minute, that doesn't happen with Bitcoin. That doesn't happen when I take my Bitcoin into self-custody. So, they're getting their feet wet, and this is just another necessary evil that has to happen for hyper Bitcoinization to take hold.
Yo, chat. You guys are going crazy today. But you actually reminded me of a tweet that I saw of Will Reeves, of course, from Fold. And he basically doubles down on this idea. And he goes, Bitcoin lending is coming to every person in the US through their brokerage account as a margin loan backed by Bitcoin. It's all bullish for Bitcoin at this point. And where this is what winning looks like. As much as we get fought by everyone, and as much as I have my buddy in the chat who's a doomer and a bear, and you guys should throw tomatoes at him, everything is aligning perfectly for more Bitcoin adoption, for more liquidity going into Bitcoin. And we really are, it really is kind of playing out in like this stepwise function where like one step is laid, and then we kind of, the market adjusts to it, kind of, digest it. And then the next one is laid. And I think pretty soon we're going to be looking back and be like, 2025 was a super bullish year, even though Nico's been a bear out there and he's like, it's me. Yes, it is you. It is you. I'm totally putting you on the spot. I think we're going to look back at 2025 and it really is going to be that defining moment where like Bitcoin entered into the mainstream consciousness. It almost will be like a pre-2025 after the date of 2025 moment. I'm not going full Kaiser here. I'm not blaspheming here about Bitcoin. I'm just saying this will be one of those defining dates.
It's like they say, gradually then suddenly. Right now we're in the gradually stage. By the end of the year, who knows? We might suddenly be in the moon.
Let's hope.
Yeah, I believe. Okay, I believe. I have strong convictions.
I really want to believe. I am
believing. I'm
a believer. It's guys. Again, we've been talking about it. Like, what else are you gonna go back? Like, as we kind of Chris and I
already all in.
Yeah, it's Chris and I were kind of arguing yesterday. It's like, if you think Bitcoin is being co-opted, what are you going to do? Go back to the dollar? Like, Bitcoin is still the best system. So we are all true believers. We have already won. Yes, this is the way. All right, guys, we have a jam-packed show. There is a great Jack Mallers clip. He did a whole Bloomberg interview. I believe it was like 30 minutes, and he absolutely slayed it. And Bloomberg TV clipped it, put it on Twitter. So we're going to watch that clip. There is some great signal in it. And then I'm going to give you kind of a rough speculation, or, where we are right now of what's going on with this crypto reserve report, or rather crypto report coming out of the working crypto group that is going to be dropped in about 2.5 hours. And then, so we really don't know what's going on there. There is some interesting rumors coming out of it. This might be a full chud, nothing ever happens moment. So, don't smash by your whole dry powder right now thinking it's going to pump. It could be a dumping. It could be a dumping moment. But yeah, we'll cover that. And then Kaiser really, really going further on the supply shock. And I'm sure you've heard this, but it really is starting to accelerate, and it's getting kind of crazy out there. So we're going to talk about all that today. And of course, before we go on, I do want to remind you to smash the like button. Of course, comment on the show. Do you think this is a good thing? Do you think this is a bad thing? And hit the subscribe button. We are dropping all kinds of new content every single day. We drop the best content, the most content. And actually, Sophie just dropped a new show yesterday. So go check it out on YouTube. Let us know what you like. And if you want to see more,
and like the video so that I don't get fired.
Yeah, Sophie's on the chopping block.
That's my own personal plug. Please share the video with your friends. It will
your wives.
Or
your girlfriends,
yes.
your mothers, and your sisters.
It will personally help me out.
Or she's getting fired.
Or I'm getting fired. AKA my allowance is getting cut.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, guys, before we move on, I do want to give a huge shout out to our boys over at Bitcoin Well. Go to bitcoinwell.com/simplybtc. And of course, if you scan the QR code here, over there somewhere. It's that way. I think it's that way. There. You will get 3 chances to win 1 million sats. I have yet to see anyone win the 1 million sats, and I know that Adam says it's getting a little too expensive. So I would go play the game now, because who knows, he might rug pull us on the wishing well here. But when you sign up, when you refer your friend, when you buy Bitcoin, you get points to play the wishing well, and then you kind of just throw it in and you have a chance to win. Actually, you win free sats every single time. And the reason we really love these guys is because they have never lost Bitcoin. They will never lose your Bitcoin, and there's no possibility of them ever losing Bitcoin into the future because they do self-custody by default. Literally, you send them money and they send you the Bitcoin to your cold storage. This is the way because we believe in self-custody is the revolution, and you need to take your Bitcoin into self-custody. All right, guys, let's keep it moving.
I want to tell you guys about our sponsor, Stamp Seed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Are your seed words really secure? Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of writing them down on paper. Don't do that. Paper sucks. You want to literally stamp your seed into this plate of titanium. Your words are actually stamped into the metal plate with this hammer. So once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and your pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They are also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and most importantly, because this is generational wealth, time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin for the long haul. I mean, here is the plate that they crushed. They put in water, they put a blowtorch to it, and as you can see, the words have survived. Stamp your seed on Stamp Seed. And you can use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on their store. Head over to stampseed.com today.
Okay, guys, we're over here on Clark Moody's dashboard.
I can't get fired. This is for the record that I can't get fired. Okay.
This is why
I love you guys.
This is why Opti loves handling the chat, because I can pull whatever I want on the show, and Nico doesn't even know. Anyways, we are on Clark Moody's dashboard, and the current Bitcoin price is $117,900. And actually, this reminds me of a tweet I saw this morning from Psychedelic Bart, and he's like, to everyone complaining about the price, guys, like, get over yourselves. We're at $117,000 Bitcoin right now, and everyone's freaking out. We're at a decline from all-time high of negative 4.1%. And we are all getting tired here. I know we're tired of 120K. It's like we were tired of 100K an hour after it happened. Now we're tired of 120K 3 months after it happened. We've been going sideways for a while, consolidating, but I feel it in my plums that it's going to rip soon, guys. It's got to rip soon. It's going to do something. It's either going to rip or you get a discount. I think it's going to rip, though. Anyways, the block height is 907,838. The current market cap in fiat terms is $2.35 trillion. And we have secured the 10% of the gold market cap. There's still 90% to go until we take over gold's $22-ish trillion market cap. So a lot of room to run. Anyways, as I was telling you, Jack Mallers did a great interview with Bloomberg. They did a whole 30-minute interview. Highly recommend you go watch the whole thing. Even Nico earlier was like, yeah, dude, he freaking killed it. Like, it's a great interview. But I got a little clip from it. Now, the first part, they are kind of asking him about what 21 Capital's goals are. But the second part is kind of what I've been saying on the show, for weeks now, when we have Luke on and he's talking about Bitcoin, leaving from exchanges and supply shock happening. Look, I do believe in the mother of all supply shocks is going to happen at some point. But I am not completely sold on the exchange metrics because of the very thing that Jack Mallers says on this clip. And it also really goes into how few people really understand what a hard capped money really means, what a hard capped asset really means, the importance of the 21 million total supply of Bitcoin, and in a way that only Jack Mallers can. He just gets even more bullish. So let's play that real quick.
What's the end game for you? Is it just to buy as much Bitcoin as you can and hold it for as long as possible and never sell it?
That's one of the goals, yes. But I think what makes us different than a lot of these other businesses is we plan to build Bitcoin products as well. I mean, the founding group is Tether and myself. I founded and lead Strike is one of the bigger Bitcoin financial services firms in the world. Tether obviously is one of the most impressive companies in the history of humanity, but specifically in building massive cash flows within the space. So Paulo and I, before we were CEOs, we were engineers. We built a lot of products. And so we plan to not only acquire as much Bitcoin as possible, raising capital in all sorts of deep capital pools, but also build products, build technology, build tools. I think when people eventually think of 21, it's are they a competitor to Coinbase? Are they a competitor to Strategy? For us, why not both? We think we have that potential.
Do you envision a future where Bitcoin treasury companies such as Strategy, Mara, and you guys end up buying so much Bitcoin that there really isn't actually much left out there on the open market for people to trade? After all, it is a fixed number of Bitcoin, so no more will be created once it reaches that number.
Right. You know what's fascinating about the asset, and it's not intuitive because it's so rare, is that, to your point, it is definitively scarce. So if everyone in the world wanted an iPhone, Apple could make more. If everyone in the world wanted a McDonald's cheeseburger, McDonald's could make more. The fact that Bitcoin cannot increase its supply means the new supply comes from the market. If you want more Bitcoin, you don't go to the Bitcoin factory to get one. You have to go up in price. Is there enough Bitcoin for me at 120,000? No. Okay, 130, 140, 150. So I tell you what, there's always Bitcoin available. Just depends on what you're willing to pay for it. And so what I think will happen is this price will continue to discover higher because Bitcoin is the scarcest thing. It's inelastic to the amount of demand that searches for it. So the amount of buying power that we're seeing from the capital markets, from the ETFs, and potentially from nation states like the United States, I think they'll find the supply they're looking for. They're just going to have to go get it at a higher price.
And that is the signal there. That is what we constantly tell people. And that's even the debate that Luke and I have been having on the show. He's like, look, if you look at the, actually here, let me pull that up. Let me see if I can find that real quick. If you look at the Bitcoin on exchanges, actually, I think it's on Bitbo. It does look like there is a lot of Bitcoin leaving the exchanges. Is it on here? Oh, no, I think it's on CoinGlass. Sorry, guys. I should have had this set up. But like Jack was saying, the thing that really makes me counter this whole narrative right now of Bitcoin on exchanges is going down. So like the mother of all supply shocks is coming. What Jack Mallers says, and again, maybe it's just because I have such a low IQ that I simplify everything here and I try to make it as simple as possible, is very simple. Like, yes, it looks like the Bitcoin on exchanges has been constantly dwindling. As of now, we are currently at, what is this? 2.13 million Bitcoin on exchanges, and this is all the big exchanges. And we had a peak of 2.81 million last year, the beginning of last year. Then it does look like Bitcoin is starting to leave the exchanges, whether that's the corporate treasuries, the ETFs, the institutions, the nation states buying Bitcoin. They would be on the open market, obviously, and I don't know if this one has no, this doesn't have OTC desk, but we're seeing a very similar phenomenon happen over the counter where people are buying them, not on the spot market. The point that I always say is like there will always be Bitcoin to be bought at any price. You just have to incentivize Bitcoiners to sell it. Now, if you're in the audience, you probably have your own price in your head and you're like, I'm not selling my Bitcoin for $120,000. Or maybe you're like, I'm not ever selling my Bitcoin for any price. Maybe you're on the sailor train and you're like, I'm going to, pass away with my Bitcoin because I want to donate this to the rest of all the Bitcoin holders. I just think there will always be a price. Now, this is just how the Bitcoin market works. And you kind of see this happening with like limit orders and spoofs and like longs and liquidations. You'll see price points on the heat map where you see either people are willing to buy and then where they're going to sell a big chunk of coin. And that's where you'll see like more Bitcoin will hit the exchanges eventually just at a higher price. And it's funny to see the Bloomberg TV analyst who's like a financial analyst here. You could argue he's probably a Keynesian too. He's sitting here, he's like, wait, does this mean there will never be any Bitcoin for anyone to buy? you're like, well, not necessarily, but
that was actually my favorite part. I was like, I love it when Mahlers explains Bitcoin to like people who just don't get it or are starting to get it. That just indicates how early we still are and like how we're still in the phase of like, oh, there's only 21 million that are ever going to be made. And so, when people realize how scarce this is, that this is more scarce than gold and, all the other things that they used to value in this life, I think that's when we're really going to start to see the price pump. But who knows? I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller. But it kind of like goes with the logic, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. Hold on, we have someone's going wild in the chat.
Uh-oh. Don't get us banned, chat.
No, hey, that's them on the chat. Their comment won't go through because YouTube has filters there. So we have nothing to do with that. Sorry, I'm a little sidetracked. What can you sum up what you just said again? Sorry.
Number go up because Bitcoin not go up. There's like only a fixed amount. And
on the
also,
exchanges.
and also, well, in general, dude, like there's like, isn't it like 95 or 96% of the Bitcoin ever in existence has already been mined?
Yeah. Let me go back here. We'll look at it. 94.75%.
There you go. Like it's every day there is less and less Bitcoin.
I didn't pull it up.
Every day there's less and less Bitcoin. And while we see that some people like the OGs, you see them selling like an absurd amount of Bitcoin because we're watching it from our perspective, right? We're like, damn, 80,000 Bitcoin is like an insane amount of Bitcoin. But I think that eventually, like people are going to buy that up, like especially these huge institutions, they're going to buy it up.
Yeah, sorry guys. This I hope you're not hearing this. That Rumble backend is blowing up. But yeah, I think what we're going to see here very soon is this exact phenomenon playing out where I think a lot of the sellers will eventually get exhausted at this point, and they're not going to want to sell their Bitcoin. Now, everyone out here is probably not wanting to sell their Bitcoin. I'm sure, look, as much as we don't like to talk about fiat prices and we get a lot of blowback because we measure Bitcoin in fiat, it's like, what else are we going to measure it in, dude? Like jars of mayonnaise or something? Like, what are we talking about here? I think everyone kind of has a price point in their head where they will feel comfortable in regards to their Bitcoin holdings. And you could think of that as like, that's the price that you're willing to sell that Bitcoin. Now, whether you will sell it, whether you're going to be able to just exchange your Bitcoin for goods at that point, it's probably a totally different conversation if this is going to be 5-10 years down the line. But there will always be Bitcoin at any price. It would always hit the exchanges. There's, like we said, there's OGs that bought it at freaking pennies. So there's OGs that held it without it even being a price. And now they're like, look, 120K per coin. That sounds reasonable to me.
And if you watch Simply Bitcoin and you know how much Bitcoin to retire with, you'll realize that you won't have to sell it all. You can sell a little bit of it and then, keep the rest of it so that you can actually have some generational wealth.
Yeah, 100%. I really don't believe that anyone that is a true Bitcoin believer will sell their whole bags.
Oh, hell no. That would be the dumbest thing ever. That's the thing. Like, the further down the rabbit hole you go, the more you understand that selling your Bitcoin for what? Like, what are you going to buy it? What are you going to buy in exchange for it? You're going to buy real estate? That's gonna.
I mean, maybe if you want a house.
Well, yeah, fine. If you want a house, that's perfectly normal. But you don't have to do what these boomers do, which is say like, I'm gonna put my entire bag into 5 different rental properties and they're gonna generate me income. But like, no, dude, like now you literally don't have to do anything. You are the bank in the future. Like people who actually get into this and realize the power of Bitcoin and this scarcity model that we're talking about right now are going to realize like, hey, wait a minute. If there's not going to be enough Bitcoin for even, huge institutions and governments to hang on to, that means that my Bitcoin in self-custody is actually worth way more than what I think it's worth because they're going to want my Bitcoin to borrow money from. Like that, I think that's what the future of Bitcoin is going to ultimately lead to. Like you are going to become the lenders, you are going to become the banks, not just for yourself, not just for your family, but also for the world at large, because there's not that many people who have Bitcoin in self-custody, and that's just the truth. It's too complicated for some people. It's too inconvenient, but that is going to be a reward that we see 10, maybe 20 years down the line when people start to realize the impact that Bitcoin actually has on global markets and on the value of assets at large.
Yeah, 100%. And actually, guys, we got a new update here. So 1 Bitcoin, I hope you did the math here, is equal to 35,000 jars of mayo. So
I want to know how much that is in Boar's Head Chipotle mayo, because that's my
life hack.
If you don't know what Boar's
don't
Head
give them all the
Chipotle
sauce
mayo
here.
is,
Just go get some. But we did get a good breaking update here. Shout out to Mark Hanna on Twitter, and he goes, Fidelity Digital is offering ability to send real Bitcoin to your account or withdraw to your own cold storage free of charge starting over the next 2 months. So again, Fidelity is killing it.
This is great. This is exactly what I was talking about.
Yes.
And actually, shout out to Fidelity for being ahead of the curve. Like, weren't they one of the first banks that actually started buying Bitcoin?
Yeah, they've been in the Bitcoin space for a long time. Fidelity, again, if you are buying an ETF, Fidelity is the one. That's the one you want to be buying. We will not endorse the BlackRock ETF here on the show. Buy the Fidelity one. They're actually in number 2. I think the number 2 position right now, if I remember correctly. I just looked at the chart yesterday. I forget what I did yesterday every single day, so I'm pretty sure that's correct. You guys can fact check me. Anyways, let's move on, and we will cover kind of the rumors of what we're hearing will come out of the crypto research report that is been all the hype in the last couple of weeks. Here we go.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, Ledin, the leader in Bitcoin-backed loans. Unlock the liquidity in your Bitcoin without having to sell your Bitcoin. They've issued $9 billion in loans to over 10,000 customers since 2018. I absolutely love these guys. Not only do I have an account with them, but I also have a loan. And what I love about them is that there are no monthly payments, and you could pay back the loan at any time. As soon as you send your Bitcoin as collateral, you'll have cash in your account within 24 hours. Over 1,000 five-star customer reviews, and they've never lost a single dollar or sat of customer money. Go to learn.ledin.io/simply today, and you'll get 0.25% off your first loan. I want to give a shout out to our partner, sat123.com. Sovereignty isn't just about your money. It's about your communications too. When the grid goes down, most people go dark. Cell towers fail in hurricanes, cyber attacks, and blackouts. But satellite phones, they don't rely on local infrastructure. Iridium has 77 satellites in orbit, giving you a direct line anywhere in the US, even offshore. If you hold your own Bitcoin keys, you should hold your own comms too. Sat123.com also has everything you need to start building your Bitcoin citadel. Starlink, battery backups, Faraday bags to protect your hardware wallets, and much, much more. It's a one-stop shop for anyone serious about resilience and off-grid independence. Stay connected, stay independent, stay sovereign. Go to sat123.com/simply today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the store. I want to give a shout out to our partner, Cold Card. If you're serious about self-custody, Cold Card is the best Bitcoin hardware wallet. There is no second best. The Cold Card Q is the ultimate air-gapped Bitcoin signing device, complete with a full keyboard, large screen, camera, NFC support, and much more. Do you prefer something sleeker? The MK4 is trusted by hardcore Bitcoiners around the world. Both are built by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners, secure and open source. Simply Bitcoin viewers get 5% off with promo code SIMPLY. Take self-custody of your Bitcoin today with Cold Card.
So today we are shilling 2 products at once. This is
Double chill.
The Faraday bag that you can get at sat123.com. Make sure to use the code SIMPLY. And inside of this Faraday bag, you can put in your cold card. Yes, this is the best cold card on the market. You will never find something as easy to use. Even your boomer parents can use it and take their Bitcoin into self-custody. And then someday that Bitcoin might belong to you. Who knows? You better save their words.
Yo. All right. That took a dark turn there.
This is great. What do you want them to do? Give you rental properties?
No, we want them to pass on generational
yes,
wealth.
Exactly. And this is how. This is the best way to do it. Get your cold card with promo code Simply. Scan the QR code. We've made it very easy for you. And while you're at it, get a Faraday bag at sat123.com.
Yes, Bitcoin bull. I agree. I'm not going to bring that up, but I totally agree with what you said in the chat. Anyways, sorry, I thought I had this up here. All right, so we've been talking about this. This has been the huge kind of speculation of what's going on. Is this going to be good? Actually, most people are like, will this pump the price? You know, Trump promised us 150K early in his presidency. He hasn't delivered on that promise yet, but he's, I guess we don't know what early in his presidency means yet. I thought he meant like 3 months, 6 months, but maybe he means a year or two. So I don't know. Anyways, we have Eleanor Terrett. Again, she is a former Fox Business analyst or journalist. Now she is working in the Bitcoin space for her own company, Crypto America. And she tweets out, new White House set to unveil digital assets reports today. And then in her report, there is a lot of other stuff going on that I think we will cover tomorrow. But I definitely want to kind of lay the groundwork. I think maybe set expectations of what we're going on here. A lot of people, there was actually a lot of kind of rumors going around this morning. Some people were saying that the crypto asset digital report doesn't even mention Bitcoin at all. I wasn't able to verify this. I saw some kind of shitcoin screenshots of Donald Trump tweeting about that it's not even a Bitcoin reserve anymore. I think there's a lot of noise going on, and we really won't know until later today. But there is some concrete stuff that we do know will be coming out later. First of all, is literally this is going to be a press release in an hour, pretty much right when the show wraps up. They're going to do a press conference about it, and I'm sure they haven't actually released. Maybe they released the report as we were live, but they have yet to release the report. Maybe it's going to be in parallel with the conference that they're doing. Anyways, what you'll read, the White House crypto report lands. All right. Anyways, one of the most anticipated pieces of crypto policy is set to drop later today when the White House releases its long-awaited 180-day report on digital assets. Senior administration officials are expected to attend a press event at the White House at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, again, an hour from now, where they will discuss the recommendations outlined in the report. And the report stems from the January executive order by Trump directing the president's working group on digital asset markets to, quote, strengthen U.S. leadership in digital financial technology. What's being released this afternoon is the product of 6 months of work by the group, led by White House crypto and AI czar David Sachs, Executive Director Bo Hines, and senior officials from Treasury, Commerce, the SEC, the CFTC, and other agencies. And their mandate is to develop regulatory and legislative proposals that advance the Trump administration's pro-crypto agenda. Now, this is why everyone's kind of saying this should be bullish, should be a bullish press conference, hopefully in regards to bullish in price terms, but it could just be bullish in terms of the long-term effects for the Bitcoin industry. Now, despite widespread industry speculation about what the report might contain, there have perhaps surprisingly been no leaks from any of the participating departments or the White House offering clues as to what's inside. While the details remain tightly held, the group's original mandate, including developing a federal framework for digital assets, particularly stablecoins, an effort Congress has already completed with the passage of the Genius Act, and exploring the feasibility of a national digital asset stockpile, which Trump formally established with his EO in March. Now, there's speculation of what the report will recommend, ways to fund the SBR, again, the budget neutral meme we've been hearing around, and we really don't know. I think a lot of people are hopeful about it. And then going over the block, they kind of did another take on this. There was actually an interesting screenshot that I saw from CoinDesk this morning, but I didn't have the paywall, and I you know, I was able to get around it, but I can't put it on YouTube. So I have a screenshot for you guys. But I'll read the block first real quick. Crypto industry braces for incoming White House, quote, regulatory Bible on rules, Bitcoin reserve, and taxes. So again, they are about to release this report in about an hour. And then, quote, I do think it's a big deal because this will dictate every rulemaking or guidance document that comes out over the next 3.5 years. And this is kind of the big idea here, is whether this pumps the price today or not. What does come out of this, we will see whether this is laying the groundwork for very bullish stuff going into the future. This is kind of the initial, will we actually be the Bitcoin superpower of the world? Will we get some very favorable regulations coming out, or will it be kind of a nothing burger and probably do more damage than good? I'm kind of being a cynic here.
Are we going to print more money to buy Bitcoin? That's the only thing I care about.
Well, they're not going to print money. They're going to embrace stable coins to expand the money supply and pump Bitcoin. It's a technicality here, so it will totally print more money. And then, of course, one more quote here. I'm hoping that this drives a lot of legislative efforts going forward and fills in those gaps in the near term, just to give the industry the clarity of where they can and cannot act or operate. Now, if you're a Bitcoiner, this probably means like nothing to you. But from what we've heard since like 2017 from a lot of these shitcoin promoters, Coinbase in particular, is this idea like, hey, man, we don't have any regulatory clarity. There's no clear rules of the road here. You know, the SEC was very famously or infamously with under Gary Gensler just doing like rules by enforcement. They'd basically just like get someone in trouble and be like, okay, these are the rules now. And you're like, wait, what's going on?
It's funny because with rules means definitions. And definitions are very important in this. They aren't?
No, they weren't good.
Oh, well, no, they weren't anything at all, because there weren't any, like, we just had no idea, like you just said.
It was the Wild West.
But with these quote unquote clarifications come definitions. And that means, you know, that I think that brings us essentially one step closer, TLDR, to saying that Bitcoin is currency. And what happens when the US recognizes Bitcoin as currency? No capital gains, baby.
Well,
no capital gains.
Good. All right. Good segue. So again, one more quote here from the Block article. Again, nothing's been set in stone in regards to what is going to come out or what they are doing. I think today will be that defining moment. But there has been a lot of speculation going around right now to one of the main things that, as Soph just said, I think a lot of us are really interested in. And it's that tax clarity is kind of the #1 priority amongst all of us.
Just to be clear, I don't think that's happening today.
I kind of agree.
But giving it a definition will make it one step closer, because you can change definitions. Definitions change as we've realized in this new modern world. What's a double speak in real time? Anyways, quote, I really think that tax clarity needs to be one of the most foundational portions of this report and where Washington leads in. Now, I don't know if we will see that, but pulling up this headline here, actually it was a screenshot from the CoinDesk article. It was behind a paywall. Again, there's rules here on YouTube that I can't actually share this with you from my own browser, but we did get a screenshot coming out of Bitcoin News, which I think is the most interesting part about this. Like Sophie said, I don't think this is going to happen today, but this is what CoinDesk is reporting. Again, Eleanor was saying there hasn't been any leaks, so there's been a lot of speculation of what is going on. Again, people were saying, oh, Bitcoin wasn't even said in this whole digital report at all. Again, no leaks. We really have no clue, but CoinDesk reported this morning. When it comes to taxation of crypto, the working group recommends that Treasury and the IRS review previously issued guidance on the tax treatment of activities like mining and staking. And there's also a call for guidance on corporate alternative minimum tax, CAMT, and de minimis receipts of digital assets, which would make it much easier to use crypto for payments. Now, of course, we have seen translation. What?
It basically means that you can use up to a certain limit to buy and sell without getting hit with the capital gains tax.
Oh.
So Senator Lummis has been kind of pushing in recent weeks this idea of like I think it got moved all the way down to like $200 de minimis tax. So you can basically buy anything under $200, but with a $5,000 limit for the whole year. So you really can't buy much. They also
can't
said
buy a house with that.
You can't even buy rent with that.
Can't buy rent with that.
Or you can't even use that for rent.
I don't even think that covers like most people's groceries.
No, it's literally. She literally said so.
What
you can buy.
What are you doing with that?
She said so you can buy coffee. So maybe it's a jab at the B cashers out there, but whatever. We want to see something better than that personally. But we'll see if this comes out later. Again, in 1 hour. But there was an interesting take here from Caitlin Long that I got to bring it up. You guys yell at me about memes all the time, but Caitlin Long dunking here. So quote tweeting this tweet by Eleanor, Caitlin Long goes, hilarious. Trump scheduled this pro-crypto announcement at the White House at the exact same time as Jay Powell's post-FOMC press conference, trolling Powell. Gee, I wonder what the president's working group's report will say about the Fed's role in all the hashtag debanking. So, hey,
he's not going to lower the rates.
Some key fabs going on here, some entertainment factor going on. I'm kind of leaning on the nothing ever happened side here. I don't know. Maybe I'm just so burnt out from politics and not trusting of politicians that I'm starting to think this is all going to be worse for us than better. I do like the narratives around it. It does.
I just like that people are starting to care about Bitcoin. Like that, at least they are talking about it. Whereas the cycle before, they still thought that this was like pirate money.
Yo, jet skis should be the threshold.
Jet skis should totally be the threshold.
Crazy.
Like, they should make it like $100,000 minimum.
Oh,
that would be like a decent.
Well, that would have historical context. Remember when they did the $10,000 fiat kind of cash limit at the time, I think it was like $700,000 or something like that. So there is historical precedent here. If we are going to do inflation adjusted numbers, like if they did that, that's cool. Like that's golden ticket. We are off to the races. Bitcoin is literally never looking back. We just literally won.
Landlords would start accepting Bitcoin.
Yeah, literally, like
straight up,
we'd be able to live on our Bitcoin, and that in my opinion, that's what would make the U.S. the Bitcoin superpower of the world. Now, we have seen this play out in various jurisdictions, a couple jurisdictions around the world, so there's still hope. Maybe it's a non-zero chance and it's a slim chance of hope here, but maybe we'll get there. We'll get there.
Forward. We are all crawling towards that
centimeter forward.
Great American Bitcoin dream.
Centimeters forward.
And we're a little bit closer than we were before. By the way, shout out to the 2,932 viewers. Smash the like button if you're enjoying the show, and also our 560 viewers, live viewers. Guys, Nico's not going to fire me.
On Rumble. Dude, also definitely Nico's wife. Look at this. She's already plugging the numbers.
Yeah, obviously. We love we love views on this.
We do. We love you guys. No, we do love you guys. We love you guys. It means the world to us. Anyways, let's get into the culture, because I think if you connect the ETF in-kind redemption news, which is potentially bullish for buying real Bitcoin, with this take from Max Kaiser, who's been literally screaming this from the rooftops for a while, maybe we are setting up for the mother of all supply shocks. Here we go.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIVE Digital Technology. Why HIVE in 2025? Unstoppable growth. As the first ever public miner, HIVE's position to quadruple their global footprint, making them one of the world's fastest growing miners in 2025. And with elite operations that consistently top the industry in Bitcoin mined per exahash, HIVE's now headquartered in the USA. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're rewriting the playbook on sustainable Bitcoin mining. You can catch the latest buzz at HIVE Digital Tech or at HIVEdigitaltech.com. I want to give a shout out to our partner, bitcoinben.io. If you're into freedom, Bitcoin, and building a real community, this is for you. Gain exclusive access to real-world, members-only, private clubs across the globe, featuring poker nights, expert-led classes, co-working spaces, educational meetups, live events, and more. Current locations include Sarasota, Nashville, Boston, Dallas, Las Vegas, and St. Louis, with new clubs launching soon in West Palm Beach, Scottsdale, Alabama, and beyond. Not to mention Bitcoin Ben's resorts in El Salvador. There's 3 of them, and they're absolutely beautiful. You'll also get access to the first fully backed Bitcoin bank with fiat ramps and savings accounts. It's called Private Key Bank, and you guessed it, it's based out of El Salvador. Go peer-to-peer with Bitcoin bulk buys, tap into home equity for long-term Bitcoin growth, and join their exclusive mining pools if you're interested in mining. What are you waiting for? Head over to bitcoinben.io, join today, where Bitcoin meets freedom.
Okay,
Ron
first of all,
thank you so much for the super chat.
Sophie is a great singer, can confirm. But hold on, he followed this up, Sophie, and I was gonna say Ron P single-handedly funding my coffee addiction, but he is single-handedly funding Sophie's Boar's Head Chipotle mayo addiction.
Bro,
it's delicious, highly recommended. I don't know, it's probably not seed oil free, but like you know, live a little bit. All right,
it's really not seed oil free, but I'm not gonna get started.
It's so good, guy. Honestly,
so good. We put it on everything.
Look,
here.
literally, you know, we do our best to give you guys. The whole culture is going to be about Boar's Head Chipotle mayo. No, I'm trolling.
Please sponsor us,
dude.
Boar's
That'd
Head.
be great.
That'd be sick.
We do our best to give you guys. Wow. We do our best to ensure that we are promoting healthy topics here. You know, some good signal and information. But you know, if you want to live a little bit, get yourself some Boar's Head mayo. Anyways, that's not what we're going to be talking about. Okay, we just went on a 2-minute tangent about mayo, Chipotle mayo. Again, actually, I'm not going to plug them. Nico's going to get mad because they don't sponsor us. Anyways,
there's also Sir Kensington. Just
yo, chill. Stop plugging stuff for free.
I'm pitting them against each other. They need a fight to the death to sponsor the show.
Okay. Enough Chipotle mayo. So you guys have probably been seeing, or maybe you haven't, maybe you're not on Twitter. Maybe you're not chronically online like Sophie and I are. Bruh. Yeah, we joke about that all the time. Anyways, but Saylor came out again yesterday, and he did another huge buy in Bitcoin. So they bought 21,000 Bitcoin for $2.4 billion. Last Rizzo saying the greatest of all time. We're going higher. Now, again, why am I talking about this? I'm not really just trying to update you on the Saylor, buying tracker chart, because we've been doing that for a while. Now, I think we're like, yeah, okay, Saylor gets free money, basically free money to buy Bitcoin. I wish I had that. I think we're just getting jealous at this point of like, yo, leave some for the rest of us, bro. But Kaiser's been on this tip for a minute. I know Rustin's been on this tip for a minute. He's been talking about this on his show for a while now. We've loosely touched about it on this show. And then Max Kaiser just doubles down on it. He's been going bananas on this idea of a forced halving, and I absolutely love it. So Saylor scooping up all the Bitcoin on exchanges and forcing a move higher as part of his plan to fabricate a halving ahead of schedule, effectively eliminating a down cycle. The other Bitcoin treasury companies will find it very difficult to source Bitcoin. In fact, Saylor may have just set the stage for $100,000 God candle. Let's go. Strategy's MNAV will hit a new all-time high. Now, I do want to go back here because one point, actually, Kaiser's making two, I think, important points here. And one point is, again, remember how much Bitcoin Saylor just bought, 21,000, how much Bitcoin he's bought this year. And remember how much Bitcoin is on the exchanges, roughly 2.1 million. He, Saylor doesn't have 2.1 million under his control yet, but he is buying a lot of Bitcoin. Now, the interesting thing is this idea of a forced halving. And everyone knows, or if you're here, you probably know about the halving. Every 4 years, the Bitcoin supply gets cut in half. What Kaiser has been saying is with all these new corporate treasuries coming into the space, again, they haven't deployed all the capital that they have potentially raised yet to buy the Bitcoin. But if you do add up all of the Bitcoin they supposedly bought, again, 3.64 million Bitcoin, a lot of these buys, I don't think have fully been actualized yet, but we're starting to see that increase. I don't think they have closed their funding. They haven't been able to deploy all of this capital, but we are starting to see that there is this supply shock on the horizon. Now, whether you think we're being hyperbolic, that there will be a supply shock, who knows what's going on, really? And who knows, what price people are going to sell their Bitcoin, buy the Bitcoin, et cetera, et cetera. But with the amount of pressure we are seeing, this idea of a synthetic halving, which is so much capital coming into the space. And remember, not that much Bitcoin is released every day and every year now. And of course, that's going to get cut in half again in about, 2 years, I believe. I don't know if I have it over here. I don't think I have it on hand. I haven't checked it in a while, but the halving's on the horizon. Let me see. Can I find it? No, not quickly. I'm stalling. Totally stalling right now. Yeah, totally stalling. I can't find it. I don't know where it is. Anyways, you get the picture. With less Bitcoin being deployed into the market, more capital coming in, this is kind of going towards the idea, and maybe I'm just making the case for myself recently that this time is different. People are yelling at me that I make stuff up and I'm a liar because I update my points of view with new information coming into the market like a normal human being.
What a concept.
Yeah, what a concept here. Holding me to stuff I said like a year ago when there is more information out there to update your point of view and your mentality. It's a crazy, outlandish concept here. It is feeling like the amount of capital coming into Bitcoin, it might be fundamentally changing the course of how Bitcoin moves. And obviously, I want to see this because I want to see, I'm dopamine fried, guys. I'm trying to go back to 2017. Can we get some pumping action here? I am dead inside. I need some Bitcoin pumping to feel something again. This up a little bit and then sideways forever.
You need to touch some grass, bro.
Dude, I really do. I didn't see Opti Inc. on that list. Dude, I'm broke. I get $1 and I buy Bitcoin. Dude, my dollar is not holding up anymore. I can't hold up the market on $1 a day anymore, okay? I'm doing my best. Oh, here we go. Thank you so much, Mr. Thomas. Having in 2 years and 257 days. So that means the Bitcoin supply that we are currently seeing a day and a year will get cut in half. And with the amount of capital coming in and also the interest that is potentially on the horizon, the tectonic shift that is happening around the narratives of Bitcoin, it's hard to see how the market structure will kind of maintain the way it has. We have 3 data points on the Bitcoin chart, three bull cycles, and we're all thinking it's going to play out like it has. I don't know, man. I'm kind of leaning into what Kaiser's saying. Synthetic halving coming thanks to Saylor and all of the strategy clones. I don't know what's worse, copycats or clones, but
I never actually thought about seeing the halving in terms of not the mining side of Bitcoin, but just the supply. Right. That's what this is all about. I have to clarify because sometimes I'll talk very confidently, but actually have no idea what I'm talking about. And people in the chat will call me out and rightfully so. So I have to clarify. What does that mean that all these exchanges are just going to end up having to buy Bitcoin from Saylor? What is Saylor going to do with all of this Bitcoin?
That is the what's his $42 million question here is what is Saylor going to do in the end game? It does seem like he's
not
going
to leave his money to anybody. He doesn't have a wife. He doesn't have kids. He says he's going to die with his Bitcoin. So what?
He's starting a central bank. He is the new central banker.
Oh,
he is our new.
That just went dark.
He's our new overlord. Be nice to Sailor because he will have all the capital. He will be the richest man in the world very shortly.
He is a very nice man. I've met him before, and he's very sweet. Has kind eyes.
I thought you were trolling. Agreed. I haven't met him. I haven't met him.
He's very nice.
But it does seem like they actually kind of connecting this to what Jack Mallers said in the beginning is, what Jack Mallers thinks is going to differentiate 21 Capital from MicroStrategy is that they are trying to, create Bitcoin products. Now, you could argue that Sailor is making Bitcoin products. They are just tapping into traditional capital markets, which is obviously what I think is very beneficial. I think you guys saw me learning on the show live last week when he dropped the stretch product. And I was like, wait, like what exactly is he doing? I know a lot of my friends in the chat were saying he's just creating more paper Bitcoin. This is just VI games. And I'm like, no, I think he's creating the straws to drink the milkshake of the traditional financial system. So it's hard to see what his end game is, but his current game is a bridge from the TradFi, literally zombie capital markets, and bringing that capital into Bitcoin. So who knows what his final end game is, to be honest. But he is going to have a huge treasure chest.
And maybe part of that incentive isn't just to hoard all of this Bitcoin, because I think at some point he's going to realize, like, what am I going to do with all of this? And part of his legacy might be to spread some of that Bitcoin around to some of the biggest companies in the world and have them maintain these Bitcoin strategic reserves so that they're a permanent part of how companies now operate,
Yeah, sorry. I was looking at Rumble.
Oh, God.
Let me pull it up. He goes, bro, GeoRich, bro, Sailor will be running continents in the near future. Totally. 100%. It's very interesting. Again, I think what a lot of us Bitcoiners have to do is kind of our like mental, it's like spring cleaning mentally. Like, what are you going to do with that Bitcoin? Again, it's the Peter Parker. Is it Uncle Ben?
Yeah.
Uncle Ben, with great power comes great responsibility. Yes, maybe your Bitcoin holdings right now aren't, life-changing crazy money. But again, using some Sailorisms here, every Bitcoin you don't buy is a $13 million opportunity cost. So if you want to kind of start thinking about where you potentially could be in the future, just price whatever holdings you are by 13 mil. And then start thinking of what you would like to do with that money. This is what we have to do as Bitcoiners, is not necessarily just hoarding Bitcoin to fulfill our greed. It's like, what do we want to do with that money? We've all committed here to try to give you guys the top news, educate you guys on news, learn on the job, and make sure that we are updating our mental frameworks as we go along so we can give you guys the best insight and analysis on the Bitcoin stuff. But we really want to, do Bitcoin media and further go as far as we can with the media stuff. So we can combat all of the legacy media companies and give us some good stuff out there. I don't know what that goal is for you guys. I know Sophie just wants to chill and have babies and buy nice things for the house, which is good. Homemaking is the best job, period. I don't know if I can even say that, but yes, really mothers are important.
Listen, I highly recommend. I kind of see Sailor as like the ultimate influencer right now. Like, he's not after these like small brands. He's after huge companies that are worth like millions and sometimes billions of dollars, and who are now looking at having a Bitcoin strategic reserve because of him. I would call that being the ultimate influencer. So for now, I think, and on a smaller scale, like, he influences a lot of people, a lot of plebs, to buy as much Bitcoin as you can, saying that every time you don't buy a Bitcoin, you're wasting a $13 million opportunity cost is actually like very powerful. So for now, I think that he is like the world's biggest influencer, as like kind of thoughty as that sounds, but like he is. And in the future, I think that the way that he maintains that influence and he maintains his legacy is by kind of making sure that there is enough Bitcoin for all of these companies to maintain a strategic reserve, to carry that on for generations to come, for their kids, for, you know, the future generations who aren't going to be able to depend on a fiat system because it's literally crumbling to the ground. It's making life worse. It's making life more expensive. It's degenerating our moral values. So, you know, it goes way beyond, you know, the initial opportunity costs that he describes. It goes all the way to, and I talk about this in my video, like, you know, your moral character and what we value as the human race at the end of the day.
True. All right, guys. That is the wrap of the show. But we do have one last plug for Sophie. Dark Maven Gaming says, can we get a Sophie show shilling Bitcoin more often?
It's
yes,
coming.
This is what we're doing.
I'm gonna have another episode come out next week, so stay tuned for that. I really want you guys to watch that video. Let me know how I did. Be brutally honest. I love feedback. And I want you to tell me what it is that you want me to cover, because, you know, if I start talking about what I want, I'm gonna start talking about having babies and like the best makeup products and things that I'm actually into, but that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about what you're into. And I really want to learn with my audiences as I go along. So if you guys could do that for me, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on this show, and then go check out my show and let me know how I did.
Let's go. All right, guys. So it's going on. Anyways, guys, we will be back tomorrow, same time as always. Officially 12:15 p.m., unofficially 12:30-ish.
Stay in the live chat at 12:15. It gets really fun.
Anyways, guys, have a good one. What would I always say? Touch some grass, eat some good food, call your loved ones, all that good stuff. We will see you tomorrow. Peace out.
Bye.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.